him up, a 50-50 ball. He went up and made a big-time catch for us. So just a really phenomenal play by him.
I'm glad he said scramble trail. I'm glad he said 50-50 ball because that's all I was thinking when it happened. I was like, well, that's not a designed play at all, is it? But it worked. And to your point, sometimes you have to just take what the defense is giving you. Sometimes you have to just go out, throw a Hail Mary out there, and hope that you have a guy in the vicinity who can make a play. I will say this from a quarterback play standpoint, and I saw that Joshy put this on the ESPN Milwaukee YouTube stream. Should the Packers have a package of plays on offense that gets Malik Willis more involved in this final stretch of the season?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Can I add a caveat? Because I'm with you.
Yep.
In around the goal line, I don't hate it. Because they want to run the ball so much and it's not working.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, in goal line situations, that's the only time it has been working. Because Josh Jacobs has found the end zone so often. Again, right. Now with Josh being out, I may, in that very specific instance, you might be able to talk me into it. But at the same time, if Jordan Love's that guy and we're paying him $55 million,
agreed.
I kind of want him to have all three cracks at the end zone there. Or four if you're going 4 down, 4th down.
Yeah, I think it's more of, hey, what we're doing hasn't worked today. Let's try something. Let's give him something different.
I would be more open to it if Josh Jacobs is out this specific week. Because Josh has been so good in those goal-to-go situations. If you had some sort of zone read play in for Malik with Emmanuel Wilson, you might be able to talk me into it.
I like that. I like that idea because, again, you don't want to take your playmakers off the field, right? That's like basic football 101. If these are your top players, you want them to be on the field and touching the ball as often as possible. That includes Jordan Love. That includes Josh Jacobs. But if Josh Jacobs is going to miss time as he deals with this knee injury, and not significant time, as we were told yesterday after the game, then it does feel a little like, because Malik gives you that run element. Now, he's not I'm not asking Malik Willis to become a running back for the Green Bay Packers. I don't want anybody jumping into the thread. I don't want anybody jumping into the comments saying that. But I kind of like that as a change of pace. I kind of like that as a wrinkle, Gabe, that might give this team another spark.
I still think I'm against it because now I'm just thinking it through. Like on 1st down, you run something. Now he comes out there. Let's say it doesn't work on 2nd down. Now all of a sudden Jordan's thrown back out there on 3rd down. All right, make something happen. I feel like you're putting Jordan in a real tough spot. If it works, everyone's going to think it's great. But the second it doesn't work, I don't know if the risk is worth it in that situation.
Can you keep Jordan on the field? Can you have them both on the field?
You can, but then you're technically playing a man down because...
Yeah, you're just going to throw Jordan somewhere where he's not a part of the play.
And I think where you could get creative, though, is have Malik on the field, and guess what? He doesn't get the ball. And it goes to someone else. That's also a way to do it.
Well, and I also think maybe you run a play, and even if it doesn't work, now defenses have to think about it. Right? As you're getting into this tough stretch of the schedule where you're facing all these division opponents, maybe all of a sudden you give them a little something like, oh, wait, they threw Malik Willis out there on a couple of plays, didn't end up working out, but that doesn't mean that we don't have to scheme against it or be prepared for it. And take a little bit of their bandwidth away as the prep week goes on.
Here's the thing that I'm having trouble a little bit with this is if Malik Willis was on, say, the Chicago Bears with Ben Johnson or Dan Campbell and the Lions, Malik Willis is getting touches in and around the goal line.
Well, sure.
100,000,000%.
Yeah, but Jared Goff also plays with 2 gloves when it's 45 degrees outside. So
boy, was he bad, yeah.
That's what I'm saying, man. Put on 2 gloves, you can't be trusted.
They're not afraid to do the misdirection. I don't want to say trick plays because that's not necessarily what they'd be doing around the goal line, but they're not afraid to sort of do things teams haven't seen to catch them off surprise. They do it all the time, and to my knowledge, it's pretty effective for them.
Let's hear from Matt LaFleur, who was, I believe, asked about having a special package for Willis.
It's certainly up for discussion. I mean, it's just hard to want to take your quarterback off the field. So, I know there was some game plans last year where we had a 2 QB package, and who knows? Maybe we'll see that come back.
Which, by the way, all of our ESPN Milwaukee personalities picked to win yesterday, so we were all optimistic that they could get the win, although it was questionable early on. Do we have Rob Demovsky this morning? Is Rob joining us this morning? Oh, fantastic.
I forgot it was Monday. We had him on Tuesday last week. My fault.
No, who cares? Rob Demovsky joining Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this morning to talk about that Packers victory. Good morning, Rob. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Jen. I'm still looking at the New York City skyline, and it's a little different than the Green Bay skyline, so Just got to soak it all in.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, what is your reaction to the win yesterday? We have talked about all of the elements. We have talked about Jordan Love's performance.
Yeah.
We have talked about the dropped passes. We have talked about the dropped interceptions. We have talked about the defense and the tackling and Edgerrin Cooper. What do you think was the biggest takeaway from yesterday's win?
I think it was what Jordan Love said, is that this is what we needed. And I know it's not pretty. I don't know that it convinced a lot of people, but for their own psyche, they needed a win. And like that, to me, that's when the quarterback feels that way, that's probably the most important thing to take out of the game, because if the quarterback feels that way, that probably means the rest of the group will follow. That said, all those things you mentioned still give you a pause and make you wonder if this team's really capable. I think we'll find out, a decent amount more after this next 3-game stretch. All division games, Minnesota, at Detroit, and then Chicago. I think they've got to win 2 of them, in my opinion, to make sure they're still in it. But I do think the most important thing was, coming here and getting a win, even though it was still they were down 20-19 with about 5 minutes to go.
Is Devontae Wyatt not completely healthy?
Yeah, he's not the same impact guy, Gabe, that he was before the injury, right? I mean, to be honest with you, first game back, I barely noticed him. I don't know that I've noticed him much since then.
I mean, he only played 47% of the snaps, too.
Yeah, I'd have to look at a lot of the down and distances, but they played a lot of nickel, which, obviously they're going to put an extra pass rusher in there probably. So it did seem like they played a lot of nickel, and were kind of rotating guys in. But it's the run defense was probably was one of their worst. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it statistically was, but it felt like one of their worst run defensive efforts of the season. And it was both backs that were 26 and 29 seemed to have big impacts on the game. So I think there's definitely cause for concern there, but. I don't know. Defensively, I sort of will give them. I mean, you're allowed to have a down defensive performance every once in a while, and after the last 2 games, they were outstanding. I guess I'm willing to give them a little bit of a pass.
Rob Demovsky hanging out with Jen, Gabe, and Chewy this morning after a Packers win over the Giants. How do you explain the drops again? We thought we had sort of curbed that or cured that illness, and then all of a sudden they show up with a vengeance yesterday. I
mean, the crazy thing is, before last week, they didn't have many drops at all. Like, they were, especially by receivers, they had some tight end drops. They had some, they had some running back drops. But before the last game, they had exactly 1 drop by a receiver. In the first, what was that? What week is this? That was week 11. The first 9 weeks, that's it. And now that they've had an epidemic of them, really. Dropped interceptions as well. I know those don't count as drops, but 5 drops by the offense, and you could argue 3 or 4 by the defense. So it was windy. I don't know that necessarily is the reason, but it's just one of those things that just when you think you got it fixed, it pops back up again. And look, Romeo Doubs has had issues at times throughout his career. I do think he came back and made a couple of really strong catches after that, but those are the kind of things that get you beat.
There's some nuance in this, Rob, and we talked about it a little bit last week on our show. It's been something that's been kind of festering in my mind, and with Josh Jacobs getting injured yesterday and then Jordan looking as good as he did the rest of the way, is it possible that Josh being out, them going under center more because Jacobs is not in the game, helps unlock Jordan Love play the way he did yesterday?
The weird thing is, they used, and I think we talked about this last week or maybe on the pregame show, the play action deal. Mm-hmm. Even though Jacobs only played, 12 snaps or so, they used more play action yesterday than they had been recently. And I think it was their second highest play action rate. So they were still play faking, even though their running back threat wasn't there, which is, I don't know what that means or why that was, but they were 34% of their plays yesterday, play action. The previous 2 weeks, they were like 20%. This was their second highest play action rate of the season, according to our ESPN fine researchers. And it's interesting because like you're faking that your running back's going to run and your best running back's not running. It's not in the game. So I don't know why that was. But to me, that was the whole key to the offense was, getting back to more play action stuff. And that's what Matt LaFleur's offense is based on. It's based on, selling run looks and then throwing out of it. So, I think that helped Jordan Love yesterday being under, you play action under center more for the most part. So I do think that helped Jordan Love. And I think you make a great point. Like, I just think they need to do that more. I really believe that.
Rob, let's talk about the quarterback. Jordan Love had a pretty good game, coming back from the shoulder injury, getting back out there, leading the game-winning drive. I said the box score isn't going to be fully indicative of how good he was yesterday. What's next? How does Jordan Love duplicate that type of performance so that we can get some of that consistency out of the QB that we so desperately want?
Yeah, throws like the touchdown to Christian Watson, the second touchdown. He obviously didn't have the first one. Malik Willis did. I mean, those are the that was an Aaron Rodgers type of throw. That corner fade where the ball is put, basically in the perfect spot, and Watson had to go up and make a heck of a play. Like, you need to see more of those plays not always, don't have to be touchdowns all the time, but just ball placement. That's where he needs to be. He needs to be in that. And look, Savion Williams, that was a chuck and duck, right? That one, that was lucky, I think. But like, there's some throws that he put on the money yesterday that I think that has to become the norm for him. And then I think they're going to be okay. But we need to see that game in and game out from him and this offense. And part of that's on the play caller. Like, there's no question that Matt LaFleur's got to help him, just like any coach has to help a quarterback. I'm not saying Jordan Love needs help. He needs to be put in the right positions and with the right play calls at the right time, and that's on the play caller.
What's up with Rashan Gary? 54% of the snaps. Engabari gets one more snap than he does. Seems like they're kind of, I don't know, souring on him.
He fell on that strip sack to recover the fumble there from Micah Parsons' strip sack. I'm trying to look at the positives here. Gabe, they won a football game. And someone said this to me actually before the game that, most people think that Micah Parsons signing, freed up Rashan Gary. This person said to me that Micah Parsons signing has exposed Rashan Gary. Like, and early on, Rashan Gary was what, he had 7 sacks in the first couple of first 5-6 games, and I don't know if he's had one since. I don't even know how many pressures he's had. It doesn't seem like very many. I thought that was an interesting take that Rashan Gary in the last month or so has been exposed. So they're going to have a hard decision. I don't even know. They're going to have to do something. With his contract next year. His cap number is, it's absurd, to be honest with you. It is, bear with me here.
26 million?
Yep, almost $28.1 million. Base salary of $18 million. He has no roster bonus in April, or March. Those are the things that usually you have to make a decision by. Like, you got to cut him or pay him $8 million on the third day of the league year. This year, he has no off-season roster bonus. He had an $8.7 million one that they paid on the 5th day of the league year last year, so that was probably like March 20th. So that's an interesting aspect of it. They don't necessarily have to cut him or trade him by then because they don't owe him any more guaranteed money, but that number is big. They're in some cap trouble next year, just looking ahead with some guys, and if they cut him, they would save $19.5 million if they did it after June 1, and almost $11 million if they did it, right away. So it's an interesting, it's an interesting guy to kind of keep an eye on as we get into this offseason.
Last thing for you, Rob. Last week we did a Screw It, Let's Try It segment show here on Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Jordan Love's injury yesterday meant that Malik Willis got some snaps. Should the Packers have a package of plays on offense that gets Malik Willis more involved? And again, we're not trying to create a quarterback controversy. I want to be very clear on this. Jordan Love is the guy. But Malik Willis has shown a bit of a change of pace. Yeah. And if Josh Jacobs is out from a running back standpoint, is there any value in putting Malik Willis on the field with Jordan Love just to try to give defenses something that they'll have to prepare for going forward?
the guy's got some juice, doesn't he? I mean, there's no question. I asked him what he saw. On the second play was a read option, and he ran for, I think, 16 yards. I asked him, what did you see? He goes, open space, first down. Like, I just kind of love the it's a quiet
simplicity.
Like, yeah, like, and for a guy who, really got beat around, mentally from, like, criticized and all that when he was in Tennessee, and, to have a guy who, and I'm not going to say he's, like, cocky or anything, but he's got this quiet, simple confidence about himself that it does make you wonder. I wouldn't hate it. I wouldn't be opposed to them, giving him a few snaps a game, and then, I can hear the people, well, what'd you pay Jordan Love $220 million
Exactly,
for? Like,
Rob.
look, but, like, you know what? Sometimes you got to put that aside, right? And just be like, you're going to play a guy who may give you something, and it's not maybe necessarily a knock on Jordan. It's just something in addition to Jordan. So I would not hate the idea.
Rob, we really appreciate you hanging out with us this morning. Have a great one, and we'll talk to you again very soon.
All right, guys, we'll be seeing you.
Follow Rob Demovsky on social media and all of his Packers coverage at ESPN.com.
If you feel like you're running on it,
Hey guys, it's Jen from Jen, Gabe, and Chewy. Thanks for watching our clip. I'm sure it was super informative and educational. I'm just kidding. I love those knuckleheads. And we do it live every Monday through Friday from 7 to 9 a.m. on 94.5 ESPN Milwaukee. Make sure that you like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you get informed anytime we drop new content.